Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Not D&D, brought to you by EN World. I am your host, Jessica. And this week, joining us, we have two little mice here to tell us all about Twilight Sword. Rico and Simone, thanks so much for coming on to join us again.
Thanks for having us.
And we are recording live today, so if you're watching in the comments, hey, hi, hello, thank you for joining us. You can put any comments or questions in the show notes and we can answer them live for you. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can click through to any links we're talking about in the podcast show notes so you can keep up to date with what's going on here. So this week we'll be talking about Twilight Sword, which is the backer kit campaign, which is currently live as we're recording right now. It's ending pretty soon. When is it ending?
In 3 days, exactly 72 hours.
In 72 hours. So if you're watching it live, now is the time to get involved. If you're listening to the podcast, there's links for you to get involved there as well. I'm sure there might be some late pledges if you jumped in late to watch that there. But we'll be talking about Twilight Sword there. But before we do, as I normally ask guests about their background and history with games, but because you've been on the show a few times, we talked about many of your other wonderful games you have. We've kind of heard that. So if you're not familiar, you can go back into the archives and listen to different episodes we have. But instead, it's been about 2 years since you were last on the show. So I was wondering if we could go through your gaming highlights from the last 2 years. And this can be things in your personal gaming, things you're doing, but also what's been happening with Two Little Mice and with the company. But yeah, who would like to go first?
I'll go first because I think the games are connected. In the last 2 years, since the last time that we've been here, we have done this game called Outgunned.
Yes.
And this is kind of a classic cinematic action RPG. So the idea for Outgunned, since both me and Simone comes from a background in acting and working in television before writing RPGs, what we wanted to do was try to convey the way of writing a screenplay or perceiving, a screenplay to a player and to a DM. So the idea was basically, let's try to break some of the standard rules of the RPGs, of classic RPGs, and try to rebuild them around how things would work in movies. So we did this little game, and after that we did Outgunned Adventure, which is kind of a weird thing because they are both core books and both expansions to each other. So you can start from everyone and expand. And the reason I wanted to start from this is because this won a Silver Annie Award for Best Game and Product of the Year in 2023. Yes, 2024. I don't remember. But on the same year,
not this year,
last year, 2024. Yes.
Yeah.
And we won silver for both Product of the Year and Game of the Year. And the game that actually won the gold is my other highlight of the year, which was Shadow Dark. So I don't think Shadow Dark benefits from our, from the shout out because it's so well known, but this is really a masterclass in RPG writing. So if you have to lose an Annie to someone, you want to lose it to Shadow Dark, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's reasonable. Shadow Dark is a great game as well. So yeah, and that's what you've been playing in your free time as well. It's been your gaming highlight.
Actually, yes, and we found out at the end. So I can say when you read a book that you just lost an Annie to, you don't have the openest of mind, the most open mind, because you just lost to it and you're like, let's see this game, how it is, if it's any better. But it was actually better. It was a really great game. So it's a nice way to find, your next best game.
Yeah. And Simona, what about you? What's your gaming highlights been?
I'm closest to home. Let's say one game I really, really appreciated. It came out early this year. If I'm correct, is High School Cthulhu by a group of friends of ours. Gear Games, which we knew, like, Italian game designer. There's like half a dozen of us, more or less. We knew each other pretty well, and they did something really really particular, bringing Cthulhu atmosphere into this 90s high school drama, mixing the two things in a really 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 unique and clever ways that we really love. Also, we talked to them when they were designing it and developing it. We followed them. It was really really a surprise, um, for me, because I'm a huge Cthulhu fan.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I also created a translation in Italian on several Cthulhu game books that are here and there. So I read my fair share, and this was quite a unique take. Very very fun.
And their pitch was Dawson's Creek plus Cthulhu.
Yes.
So it was kind of a weird the first idea, but it was. I think it worked somehow.
Fab. And yeah. Well, that all sounds fantastic. Speaking of Italian games as well, Twilight Sword will be available in English and Italian, I believe. So
Yes.
across multiple languages, so whatever you're watching in for that. But let's dig in and talk about Twilight Sword, because I'm very excited to kind of talk about that. Before we dive in, though, I did want to, there were some questions on the EM World Forum. So this isn't done in collaboration with Free League. And I know in the past you've collaborated with Cool Mini or Not and been things like that. So some people had some questions about Two Little Mice and whether you're an independent or what's happening with that. So Rico, I didn't know if you wanted to answer some of those questions.
So we were born as an independent studio 5 years ago. This year we are celebrating 5 years of Two Little Mice, and for about 6 months we had a collaboration going with Cool Mini or Not. And while we were doing this collaboration, we crowdfunded the first English edition of Household as well. Then before Household was delivered, we decided we preferred to stay independent. So we left Simon, went back to being independent, and we've been an independent studio since. But with Free League, we have found like the best possible partner, because they are the coolest and they make the coolest games. So we really we have all of their games, and when we did Outgunned, we were looking for someone to help us distribute Outgunned, around the world, because we handle our distribution ourselves right now. And the guys at Free Leagues, they tried the game, they loved the game, so they decided to bring it to the English-speaking market. And after Outgunned, we actually flew last year to Stockholm to meet in their study and show them the first draft of Twilight Sword, when it wasn't even announced or finished yet, and they loved the pitch. And for the first time, we have decided to bring this game together from the start. So they are co-publishing it with us, and it's a great experience for us. It's
fantastic. So Twilight Sword is in collaboration with Free League, as you mentioned, and yourself, so bringing it together. So let's talk about the game a little bit. So if people haven't seen the Back a Kit campaign and don't know anything about it, what is Twilight Sword?
Basically, Twilight Sword is a role-playing game. It's like our love letter, our homage to all those huge kind of discovery journey fantasy that we see a lot in Japanese anime or video game. So think about Legend of Zelda, Dragon Quest, No Kuni, if you want some different examples. Basically is a fantasy role-playing game based on the exploration of this huge, wonderful, colorful fantasy world filled with colorful monsters and all sorts of things. So yes, it's our unique take this kind of Japanese inspired fantasy theme.
And what made you want to make this game? Are you big fans of one of these particular licenses? Are you really big Legends of Zelda fans, or what inspired you to make this?
I think the two biggest inspiration were definitely Wonder Boy in Monsterland, which is
Okay.
a quite old game, and then of course Zelda, especially Breath of the Wild, and for two different reasons. For me, especially, I am a millennial. Like I was born in '87, but I have an older brother, so I used to play with this game. So it's like I was born in, you know,
Early
late
80s.
'70s, early '80s, because I have all this stuff growing up. So I have all these like the Sega Mega Drive, Sega Master System, SNS, all that kind of
Mhm.
old consoles. And Wonder Boy in Monsterlands was, for me, was my getaway to RPGs. The idea of exploring this world full of monsters, becoming a hero and all that sort of stuff. And then during the pandemic, thanks to Breath of the Wild, we rediscovered this passion. And what really inspired us about Breath of the Wild is that it feels like it's extremely, completely free. Like you feel when you're playing Breath of the Wild that you can do anything and go everywhere. But if you study it, if you really take the time, you see that there is a series of paths that someone drew there so you could
Mhm.
follow them. So based on this idea, like this structure that can be seen, but it is there, we tried to convey that into an RPG. So we started wondering, okay, how can we build a game that revolves around traveling, which is the most unexpected things, someone can do. You
Mhm.
don't know how traveling will work. It's not like a dungeon where there is a certain number of enters, a certain number of exits, and you have this little cage with the players inside. But now you have a whole world; they can do whatever they want. So how do you um, drive them? How do you sustain a player and DM in this traveling around the world? So the whole idea was about convey that kind of experience. And I guess
Mhm.
this is our philosophy as game designer. As game designers, what we do is look into other media and ask ourselves, how can we take these to RPGs? How can we
Mhm.
give people and ourselves, in first place, the tools so that naturally those things that are part of the genre will happen? So yeah, that was the main idea.
And there's some wonderful characters that you can play in the game. As you said at the beginning, some very colourful characters. We have a penguin. We've got two of the commenters commenting about penguins. They said they never see penguins in role-playing games. They're wondering how they should voice act them when they're playing in the role-playing games. So I don't know if you have any advice on that. But before we get into that, could you talk us through the different characters that you can play in the games? Because there's some weird and wonderful characters I can see in the artwork if you're watching the live stream.
So, first of all, most of the artwork that you're seeing right now were made by Daniela Giubellini. Daniela is also the artist for Outgunned and Household, and she's part of the Little Miser, our main in-house artist. But there are also two other artists who did the monsters and maps, Donata Poli and Lodovico Sartirana. So all Italian artists in this project. Mainly, there are five kin in this game. The first one is the Yuma, so this sort of human-like elves, like this huntress that we're seeing. Then there is the Kedi, who are basically cat folks, very cartoonish, like big-headed cat folks. Then we've got like this red guy that we're seeing right now, Tolunas, and Tolunas are brawny red, they look kind of like Japanese onis. They have this little horn
Oh
on
yeah.
the forehead. They're very browny, they're very tall compared to others. They live mainly in the coast of Radia, which is our world. And then we've got pengus, like Ivar on the background. And pengus are big puff penguins. They are like
Wonderful.
Yes, very, very big, very browny. I don't know why we decided to go with penguins for our buff race, like the strongest, the sturdiest race was penguin. I don't know what how that came to be. It seems obvious, but people are quite, it seems like it's quite unexpected. And they are mostly inspired to Nordic folklore. So they're sort of like
Okay.
Vikings.
Yes,
So
more
yeah,
or less
if you need,
not Viking. I don't know if this helps someone to actually role play them, but this is the main inspiration.
you have to take out your best Norwegian accent, I guess, for the penguin. Whatever I don't know how Norwegian accent sounds, to be honest.
Fantastic.
And then we got the Strix, and Strix are basically completely dark creatures with shiny eyes, and they come in all shapes and sizes. So one of them that we have is clearly a mix of Orko from He-Man and Vivi from Final Fantasy IX, but we started from them. And the cool idea about Strix is that really you can do any sort of shape. They are like this kind of dark creature in any shapes and size. And then we unlock a couple of new kin as stretch goal. We unlocked the Aura. And the Aura are these sort of like dark elves with very, very long ears and a kind of amethyst purple skin. And Aura are extinct in this world. So we unlock that as a stretch goal, kin, and you would play as the last of the Aura in your in your campaign. And then we also unlocked Groda, which are frog people.
Yes,
Frog folk.
frog people.
Yes, I so many people love playing frog people races, so I'm not surprised that got unlocked. That sounds really fun.
They are adorable. I agree.
Fantastic. So as you said, we've got this big world, and with the reference points you put in there, I think it's really clear we're going on this journey. We've got this amazing cast of characters we can choose to play. So let's dig into the actual system, because there's a unique system for the game, the cat system created at Twilight. So can you talk us through the core mechanics of the system and how it works?
Basically, the core mechanic of the system is D12 roll under, meaning that when you encounter some difficulty, some test you have to make for whatever reason, you have 8 main abilities to choose from. That goes usually from, let's say, from, I don't know, 4 to 10. You roll a D12 and you aim to catch the same or lower result than your ability score. That's the basic standard mechanic of the game. Everything in Twilight Sword, like many of our games, revolves around being extremely direct, simple, with no math or calculation, so that you can really use the roll of dice to further push the narrative, the role playing. That's our main goal, whatever game we are playing and we are designing, basically.
It's kind of as in Legend of Zelda, once again, the starting idea for this system was we have our own signature system that's called Director's Cut, which is the one we use for Outbound and Household, which is matching dice, kind of playing Yahtzee. The reason we did not use that system is because it's very engaging to roll dice in Outgun and in Household. It takes a little bit of time. You are re-rolling. There is a little bit of gamble. And we didn't want anything between you and the story in Twilight Sword. So the core mechanic is as simple as possible if you want to like jump over a fence, kill a monster or whatever. And then we went a little bit crazy with what we call side mechanics, which are, for example, traveling, crafting, fighting monsters. The claim of the game is travel the world, fight monsters, and bring hope and these three, and we add and cook at the end because it's also there's a lot of cooking involved. And these three core aspects are where the games start to get a little bit of a crunch.
Yeah. Let's go into some of those a little bit. So, as you mentioned, that the journey and traveling is, a big part of the game. So, what kind of extra rules have you put in to help the game masters, create that experience for the players? How do those rules work?
So I'll start a little bit from character creation, just to tell. For example, when you make your champion, you don't have you have your kin, of course, and then you have to choose your way, which is sort of your class. And
Okay.
we call them ways because they simply represent not who you are, but the way you do things. In this case, the way you stand against evil. And starting from the word way, there is already this sense of walking, moving inside the game. You start with your own way. And then as you advance in this game, you can either keep expanding your way. Imagine this as a tree of feats, of traits that you can unlock, or you can choose additional ways. And so, for example, if you follow, let's say, the way of the blade, which is our sort of warrior, you have a sort of skill, a list of skill to kill enemy, cut stuff, open paths with your sword. And then there is additional ways like the way of light, the way of magic, the way of the song, the way of shadows, and you can mix and match them. So let's say I'm a way of following the way of the blade. As I level up, as I advance, I can choose maybe the way of the song, and so my way becomes the way of the blade song or the song blade, depending on what you like the best. And so we wanted this sense of openness and freeness and of moving forward from the get-go, from your character, because you're choosing a way and you can change your way or add another way. So we wanted this sense of wonder, from the get-go, from character creation. Then we started talking about especially Breath of the Wild, so the wonder of discovering this world, and we came up with these ideas of map cards. So as you play Twilight Sword, you don't have a full map of the game from the get-go, but you have this sort of small square map cards that you reveal as you play. So you start from anywhere in the map, and as you advance in the game, you reveal. So there is this sort of like physical aid to actually reveal the map as you go to your players, but also there is the whole point of the game is about gathering hope, which is hope is let's discuss about like an in-game experience point. I don't know how to tell this in English, but it's like if experience point were a physical things. That's what hope stands for, and hope can be gathered around the world by doing some good deeds, any kind of good deeds. So killing monster, but also helping people, but also building cities or schools,
uncovering mysteries about the land or whatever.
Okay.
Anything you do will give you some hope, but you can only get hope in a certain places on the map up to the amount of despair that there is in that specific region or place. So imagine every place has a level of despair. You can do a certain amount of good deeds, and after that, that region is freed from despair. You unlock fast travel, you unlock additional perks by staying there, you level up, and then you are kind of forced to move and to travel and to explore because there's no other way for you to gain more hope because you have helped those people there. So these mechanics tend to recreate the kind of the shonen idea. If you think about like One Piece, they are traveling because they are doing something, but along the way they have something that they need to do, and they will, stay there and free that country and go to the next. So for us, it was very important that there were a mechanical reason. Not only, of course, we have our mechanics about how do you roll for traveling, random encounters and stuff. But what was most important for us was why you should travel. Like what happens if you do not travel, for example. And so that's how we built the game.
I really like that. It's a really interesting way to encourage the players to travel to those places. And it's also really nice for a GM to plot the campaign as well, to really signpost to go, we're going here now. So it's nice for both players to know what's happening, and also for the game master running the game to kind of direct and, be the director for the game. We've had some questions talking about the different character creation for the different ways. So they were asking, if you choose a specific way, does it give you special abilities or expansions of basic abilities? What does choosing that mean?
Basically, every way gives you a list of features. Those features can be some passive bonuses or some active special moves or action, or whatever. They can make your spell more powerful. It depends on the way and on the values, but they are a mix of bonuses or active abilities tied to the concept of your way. So not tied to a specific ability, but to the concept. If you follow the way of the blade, you will have a lot of features to use weapon more efficiently or to fight monsters. If you follow the way of the light, you will have bonuses using healing magic or whatever. Different kind of features that can convert the core of the way. So they are not just expansion on your basic ability stats.
And there is a list of them that you can choose freely from. So if I follow the way of the blade, then I have my list of feats, and following the way of the blade give me access to choosing at when I make my champion, I can choose one of those feats, and then as I gather more hopes, I gain more feats or new ways to unlock other feats.
Wow.
So it's sort of your pool. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, we've had another question saying, can you use magic without following a magical way? I'm assuming a magical way lets you do that, but we've had the question.
It's yes, you can have magic spells by, of course, following also the way of magic or the way of light, or you can use magic spells by enchanted items or parchments. I don't know. Yes, it's a word.
Yeah,
yes?
scrolls and things. Yeah, yeah.
Scrolls. Yes.
Oh, parchment. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. So yes, that are like one use only, or items are an X amount of uses. But to have innate magic, like the ability to cast a certain amount of spell every time you want, you need to follow either the way of the magic or the way of the light.
Fab. Thank you for answering that. Okay, so we've talked about creating your character, the way, hope and despair, the travel mechanics. Very importantly, what does cooking look like in the game? Because that was the bit that I was most excited to talk to you about. Because I just thought, if you played a lot of these type of games, the mini games around cooking and crafting and things like that are always like really good fun. So I love that you've infused that into a role-playing game. So what does that look like at the table?
So this was probably the hardest designing challenge of our lives.
Oh yeah?
Yes, because as I told you about the way we work, we wanted to convey an experience. So we have not looked at cooking like a crafting system that we want to make it as precise as possible or as balanced as possible or whatnot. We were not looking for that. We were looking for a fun experience, putting ingredients together. Which is what we do in this game. We try to throw things in the pans and hope for the best. And the first problem that we encountered was, how do we make the players like able to do this on their own?
Yeah.
Like without tons of charts, without asking to the DM, because we don't want this to be a sort of downtime. And you have to make your person do your roles and all that stuff, because that was not the experience we were looking. That was not fun. That was just useful, because you can boost people. So we came up with, as always, with a very simple idea, because usually designing solutions are very simple, but it takes a lot of time to to do them. So basically, every ingredient in this game has um, a kind of a bonus that gets activated when you cook them. So let's say I'm going to do a super simple example just to make it clearer. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but let's say that we have a red mushroom. And when I cook 2 red mushrooms together, I will get +1 strength for 1d2 turns. So I have 2 variables. +1 strength, 1d2 turns.
Yeah.
What happens when I add another red mushroom, for example, to this? I can either turn and say I will put up one variable. So I will say I get +2 strength for 1d2 turns, or I can say no, I get +1 strength for 1d4 turns. So every number, every variable that there is inside these ingredients, I can scale up by adding another of the same ingredients. By adding different ingredients, I can add different, effects. So if I add the 2 mushroom with a fish, for example, then I have +1 strength for 1d2 turns. Plus, for example, I recover 1 heart immediately. And all these effects both stacks with different ingredients and also can be upgraded with more of the same ingredient. And with these little mechanics, what we have is that you can take as a player any kind of ingredient that you have, and you can mix and match in any quantity that you have, and you can instinctively, quickly make your recipe. You don't have to ask the GM, you don't have the ingredients, already have everything in them. Then we also have what we call the recipes, which is basically items in the game with a recipe written on them. And if you have that item, so if you have the recipe and you have all the ingredients of that recipe, then you can cook something with a roll that will give you extra bonus. So it's not just
unique,
the sum of the ingredients.
Than the sum of the ingredients that are written, but like in every cuisine of sort, you need both the recipe, so the exact way on using these ingredients, and all the exact ingredients you need, but that there's something extra. Treating it's more or less like a magic item, a recipe,
Yes.
something that allows you to create something with special effects.
Sick. And someone has asked in the comments, are these real recipes based on the secret knowledge from your nonnas? Is that proper Italian recipes we're going to have in there?
There's
Okay.
definitely some.
Wrote a cooking book
Wonderful.
several years ago. So yes, we have our fair. It's a really big one, actually. So we have a fair share of examples to use.
Wonderful.
And it is 99% magic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was
His grandma cooking. Yes, it's
like real cooking. Okay,
Yes.
great. And someone has asked, is there a maximum number of ingredients that can be cooked at once? Like mechanically, is there a limit to how many effects?
both.
Yes, I don't remember the exact number.
But there is a limit.
It's
but
15 ingredients and
Oh, wow.
up to 5 of the same ingredient. So
Yes.
Okay.
15 in total, but up to 5 of the same ingredient.
Yes, you cannot, put up the same effect more than 5 times.
I do like that. Thanks very much for sharing those cooking mechanics. I enjoyed that a lot. Talking about the game, we haven't talked about monsters. So a big part of the world will be fighting monsters to bring down the despair in the world and create hope. So could you tell us a little bit about some of the monsters we'll be fighting and what your approach to monster design Twilight Sword is?
So first of all, there is a ton of
Yes.
monsters. I believe there is more than 50, and you can also upgrade them. But basically, we have 2 kinds of monsters. We have regular monsters and we have bosses. Regular monsters, first of all, they are born made out of pure evil. So they are basically a representation of the despair that is,
Okay.
challenging this world. So they don't have a sort of culture, but they are like just pure evil. And every monster has four main stats. The number of attacks that they can do, so the number of time they are in the initiative, then they have a number of hearts, so how many wounds they can actually take before being defeated. Then they have a shield value, which is how much damage they can soak at each every time they suffer some damage. And then they have a stamina value, which is where the GM can go a little bit tactical. The more dangerous the monster, the highest the number of stamina. After that, every monster have some features. Usually, for example, quick. When you dodge the attack of this monster, you got -1 to your roll. So very simple feats. And also they have a list of attacks. They have a list of actions, usually from 3 to 6. Most of them will have 4 or 6. And these actions are what they do in their turn when the initiative come to them. And you can either roll every turn to see randomly what they do, or you can activate what we call a rotation, which is basically as a GM, especially when you have a lot of monster, you just roll the first time to see if it performs action 1, 2, 3, or 4, for example. Then you have 3, and then the next turn they will do action 4 and action 1 and action 2, and they go on and repeat. With stamina, however, you can either activate the special attacks that is outside of rotation, or you can change the rotation. So once the player start to understand the rotation and maybe they play in advance against you, as a GM, you have these little racers to make their life a little bit more miserable.
Nice. Mix it up. Yeah.
And this is one of the things that we like. The first bit of game design that we ever done in our lives was actually make this list of random attacks. And this is, I believe, the one thing that we have in common with Free League. I know Free League does that all the time in Dragonbane, in Vaesen. They have this list of random attacks. And we did it in 2019 with the first Italian-only edition of Household, and I think it's brilliant. And we are evolving and we are learning also from Dragonbane doing this. And of course, then we have big bosses, and big bosses are unique because every boss works in a different way. They all have a kind of their own custom rule so that they are unpredictable. And sometimes you will not be able to defeat them if you are unprepared. Because you need to know them. And yeah, every monster has its own card. In the campaign, you can find physical card for each monsters, but monster cards is how we call the monster sheets. So basically, there are monster cards even in the books. You can print them. You can buy, the card chest to have the physical card if you like. And bosses are made of multiple cards. Some bosses are made of 2 cards, some of 3, some of 4, the biggest one. And so that means that they have more space for additional rules, additional feats, additional actions. And they are, I think people will have some fun as you do in video games. Try to understand what's the whole point of that monster, like that boss. How does it work? What is he doing? Why maybe it looks easy at first and then it gets harder, etc.
Great. And what made you want to go with the card design approach for the monsters and other elements in the game? What made you decide to go that route with the physical version of the game?
We really like Square for starters. We really like
because they're all square cards, yeah.
And it's something that you see. I don't know. I find it fascinating having a book full of squares. That's the main reason. I must be completely honest with you. That we begin thinking ourselves, it's cool to have a book that when you open it, it's a square and it's made out of squares. So everything for us, it's about communication, trying to be as clear as possible, as direct as possible, even because we like it that way. When we read a book, a role playing manual, we really love the books that manage to catch your attention and to show you what's important. Okay, here and here and here. Thank you. Now I know what I'm doing. So we are trying to pump it up, this concept, and try to close every meaningful things, information, a monster, the items in a square, so you can see, you can visualize. You have your art, tons of art. Every single monster has a heart dedicated. Every single object has an art dedicated, so you can see, and it's immediately clear what you are doing and where to find the information you need while playing. So yes, that was the main.
And the square were born before the cards, and then we found out that this is the inside layout of the book, and then we noticed that everything that we have written was made to fit into a square, and so we at a certain point we realized we had cards. They were already made into the shape of a card, and then we decided, okay, it's easy to turn them into real cards for people who don't want to look at the monster on the book but wants maybe this sort of cards. On one side you have the picture and the name, so something that you can show to player. On the other side you have things that only the GM is supposed to see. But really it came from a layout decision. We didn't start with the idea of cards.
Okay, but it works really well. I mean, I love getting physical copies of your games because they're always so beautifully made. The first game of yours I had was Household, the box set, and it came all so beautifully together. But so could you talk us a little bit about if you pick up a copy of Twilight Sword on the back of kit, what do you get, and what does it look like? If you could describe it for the podcast listeners. If you're watching live, of course, you can see some images on the screen. But yeah, what's involved if you back the game?
So first things first, there is 2 books. These books are 2 by 1, so they are, if you are familiar with Outgun, they are as tall as Outgun, but a little narrower. And so when you open up, they are a perfect square, and everything in the layout is made of square. These 2 books, one is the core rule book, which is everything that you need to play, and you can just take the core rule book and you have everything. And the other one is Lens of Radia, and Lens of Radia is the description of the world that we are playing. But of course, when you play Twilight Sword, you can play in any kind of world. You can. There are rules to make your yes. But so I would describe Lens of Radia as a sort of an actual guide. Those guides that we used to have before smartphone, when you were around the city and you have your maps.
Oh yeah, so, like your local visit book. Yeah.
Yes. So because all the maps, of course, is divided into square, and you've got the description of every square and of every building that you find in that square and NPCs, etc. So it's sort of like word plus campaigns and campaign hook, and all that sort of stuff. Both this book also come in a sort of limited edition, and we are trying, guys, to do limited edition because people ask, but we cannot do limited editions because we cannot choose the best. If we do something, then you've seen Household, so it's hard to say. So we decided to do these limited slipcases, which are this one kind of stone tablets that you can see in the image, and these are both have an embossed 3D effect.
Oh, nice!
So all the stone are in 3D, and this green and yellow kind of magical pattern is metallic lamination.
Yes.
So it's kind of shiny. Also, what have we got? We have got, of course, the DM screen, which folds in the same size as the book with all the basic rules. And then we've got my personal favorite, the starter set, which is kind of a cubic box
Yeah.
Sort of like a chest, the blue one, let's say. And inside you'll find dice, and you'll find some small booklets with a low-level campaign and a low-level map that we call the Twilight Island, which is a sort of tutorial,
Yes.
place when you start playing, and so you can understand the basic rules of the game. In the starter set, there is also some cards, some pre-made champions, of course, and these tokens that we can see that are for status effects, so negative conditions. And then the other box, similar box with the golden band, is a card chest, and it started with 200 cards. Now I think we are at almost 300 with the campaign.
Wow.
And it's like a cube full of cards, all the monsters, all the ways, all the kings, all the feats, all the magic spells, all the blessing, all the maps, everything that we have turned into cards and into this box.
Fantastic. Well, it all looks fantastic, and all your games that you do are always so beautiful. So I'm sure the final version will be absolutely gorgeous. As we mentioned, the Back a Kit campaign is live right now and ending in 3 days at the time of recording. What sort of timeline, if people are like me and are excited to get their copy, what sort of timeline, when can people expect to receive their rewards?
Simone, you know the timeline better. Simone is
timeline.
the
Sorry,
guy who handles production.
Yes, we are looking at sending out the physical awards in July 2026.
Oh, great. Nice. Sounds
And
good.
yes, so digital awards usually 3 months earlier, 3 to 4 months earlier. That's your usual timeline. So yes, pretty near.
Pretty quick, yeah. As somebody who publishes games, I'm like, oh, it's pretty quick.
Well, we have been doing this for almost 3 years now.
Yes,
So
the
Twilight Sword.
We begin working on Twilight Sword, I think, 3.5 years ago.
Oh wow! Okay, so it's been a long time.
While we work on household and
doing all this stuff.
But yes, it's been a long journey.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on the crowdfunding campaign on Back a Kit. It's over, I think, €500,000 when I last checked it. So congratulations on it going so well. If you are watching or listening and are interested at all, if you click the links in the show notes, you can go have a look there and see if it's something you'd be interested in picking up, because the best way to support different indie RPG companies is to buy their stuff if you can. But Rico and Simone, thank you so much for coming on and sharing Twilight Sword with us. It's so great to have you on the podcast. But I think we're reaching the top of the hour, so I'll say thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Of course. And everyone who's been watching and listening, thank you so much for coming along. We will have one more show for you for Not D&D this year in 2025. So we'll see you next week. But thanks a lot. Bye.